Hey guys, what's up? Thomas Spark here, back with another video, and today I'm talking to you about the history of VPN. How did it all get started? How did it begin? First, let's talk about the beginning. So in 1996, the PPTP protocol was developed and released. Now the PPT protocol stands for peer-to-peer tunneling protocol, and it's the most basic form of secure data transfer around. Basically nowadays no one really uses PPTP because it's just not as secure as newer protocols like OpenVPN. So that's basically how that protocol kind of came, and now it's not really used that much anymore as VPN has evolved. Now we have several types of protocols available for people to use, like L2TP, IPsec, SSL, but most commonly most VPN providers use OpenVPN protocols nowadays because it's the most secure. So VPNs were originally developed kind of like for governments and businesses, and wasn't really meant for like the basic consumer. Originally the internet was like this as well. However, more and more internet facilities began to develop, more and more websites, the .com boom and stuff like that came with malicious software, viruses, kind of online security became a concern for the public. So VPNs became more and more used, as well as the rise of torrenting and file sharing became more prevalent. So did tools like VPNs that create ways for end users to encrypt their traffic and hide their IPs. So VPNs really started taking off, I think, around WikiLeaks and Snowden and all these other sources that came out discussing how governments and policies have been collecting data and spying on people. This really gave people a new perspective on their online security and really started a VPN boom in a sense. Additionally, in places like China and Russia, starting around 2010 or so, they really started cracking down on user privacy, which kind of created more of a use for VPN, but also created more of a way for the governments to try to crack down on VPN and censor more websites. Back in 2010 or so in China, there was hardly that much censorship compared to today. Nowadays, everything is getting censored in China, and a lot of other countries as well, like Iran bans pornography, and a lot of countries are just restricting what can be on the internet, restricting a lot of apps and services that don't really need to be restricted. I know, for example, in Iran as well, in places like Egypt, sometimes even things as harmless as Pokemon Go have been banned and restricted, which is causing more and more people to use tools like VPN to get around these restrictions and use the kind of internet and services they want to. So what are people using VPN nowadays for? Well, a lot of people are using VPNs to bypass geo restrictions placed on websites like Hulu, Netflix, BBC iPlayer, all sorts of websites like this really want to restrict use cases for their services, but people are using VPNs to kind of get around these restrictions. Additionally, there are also a large amount of torrent users out there who want to protect their P2P kind of activity from internet service providers and the like as well. And there are also people in the US and across the world that just want to protect their information from snooping governments, protect their internet in Wi-Fi cafes and places like that where it could be jeopardized. So it's really growing every day, the use case for VPN really.